Hi, Jake. How are you?
Good. How are you guys?
Oh, we're fantastic. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate it.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Well, hey, are we having fun, by the way? Thumbs
Yes.
up if we are. It's always fun with a Zoom call. Let me ask you a question. Just listening to the stats, it sounds like you guys are going through a very similar situation that we're going through in Denver, where we're seeing a reduction in inventory, an increase in activity with buyers, and it's kind of counterintuitive to what you would expect in this market. And I shared with some of our agents in Denver, I said sometimes what I'm hearing in the market is that we're telling our sellers or our potential sellers that we should wait. Well, let's just wait till this all calms down or until this passes over. And yet, is that really the right advice for the seller? Or are we giving that advice because we're not comfortable or we're not confident in the market as a whole? So what I really wanted to do, and as we spoke earlier here, Stephen, is that let's talk a little bit about what we can control. Because I think sometimes what happens is we wake up in a moment like this, and I'm guilty, just like everybody else, and we might have that moment of freak out, that moment of I'm out of control, that moment of scarcity, that moment of who knows what. So let's walk down a couple different exercises to help you. And the first one is one that my coach, Debbie Frapp, helped me through. As I woke up one day, and she called me and she said, "Hey, Jake, how you doing?" And the first thing I said was, we're hanging in there. And she said, "Hey, this doesn't sound like the Jake I know." Anybody ever heard that? And she pinned me to the wall. So she walked me through just a quick energy exercise, which was kind of fun. Stick with me, though, because I'm going to teach you some techniques at the end of this that really work. And she said, really, there's three things that we can do every day to control that mindset and that mind shift. And she says, it's a mental, it's a spiritual, a mental, and a physical are the three different areas. So she says, when we go to spiritual, and spiritual is yours to define, by the way. She says, think about it this way. Everything starts with gratitude. So how many of you been in BOLD before? Raise your hands or say aye, right? So in BOLD, we talk about gratitude. And I said, okay, great. She says, so tell me 5 things you're grateful for. BOLD exercise. And I walked down and I told her the 5 things and she said, awesome. So of those 5 things, which one do you want to focus on right now? And I said, what do you mean? I just told you my gratitudes. And she says, no. Which one do you want to focus on? And I said, you know what? Right now, in this moment, I am super grateful for my house. And she kind of stopped for a second and she started to dig deeper, right? As a coach does. She said, so what about the house? What are you grateful for with the house? And take it down this way, right? So even for yourselves, if you started with gratitude, go ahead and write down a couple things you're grateful for. And now look at those and think about it. Pick one, just one. And what is it about that one that you're extremely grateful for? And what's important about that? So she'd started to dig deeper. And I'll give an example where it went with us. I said, well, I'm thankful that I've got a place where when we're safe at home, right? When we're under these orders of safe at home and working from home in Denver, I mean, in Denver, we're in a situation where we can't even show property. And we've been threatened with a year in jail as agents if we leave our house to show property by the Attorney General. It's been interesting. And I said, however, I've got a house that I've got all 5 of my kids and my wife in today. And yes, that means chaos reigns sometimes, and sometimes you all get to hear it. And yet, I've got them here, and we're all safe. And we have what we need. We've got water, we've got electric, we've got warmth, we've got a big yard to play in. We've got things that we can do to just be our family. And as I started to explain these things, I started to tear up. And she stopped and she says, so what's causing the emotion? And what I realized and what she shared with me, she says, think about it. When we talk about gratitude on a spiritual level, she says, it's not just being grateful. It's digging deep. It's connecting the emotion to the word. So give yourself a moment to journal that out. And she says, as you start to connect the emotion, she says, in BOLD, we teach that logic makes you think and emotion will make us act. She says, then it starts to open it up. So she says it starts there and then it goes to mindset. And she says the challenge with mindset is sometimes when we walk into these moments, we start to lose focus of what we can control because we're so focused on the things we cannot control. So we did another exercise, and I'm going to take you down this road. And if you've been in BOLD before, you're probably familiar with this exercise. So let's do it together. On that sheet of paper, if you break it up into two sections, just two parts, a left and a right-hand side. And I'm going to ask you to use the chat box to kind of help us out. What I'm going to have you do is on the top right, things I cannot control on the left-hand side. Things I can not control. And on the right-hand side, right, things I can control. So we've got things I cannot control and things I can control. And let's make a couple lists. So for just a second, you can throw it in the chat box. You can speak up if you want. What are some of the things today that we cannot control? Let's make this list together. Yep, things we cannot control, Anna. Go ahead and pop them in there. What do you think it is? Government's doing, correct. We can't control what the government's doing. We can't control the order of stay, the market, the virus, right? What else can we not control? Others. We can't control what they say, what they do, what they feel. We can't control the lending guidelines as those change and move today. We can't control travel, right? What other countries are doing, other warnings, or how it's going to impact us. What else can we not control? Other people's health, correct. Participation, 100%, right? Are they going to dive in or not? So the weather, true statement. True statement. We got two inches of snow the other day. I was like, what? What the media is saying and how that's operating. Yep. So all of that, if we focus on what we can't control, it creates fear. So you can just put fear at the top of that, because if we just look at all this and that's all we focus on, it will create fear. It'll create uncertainty. It'll create doubt. Now, on the other side, what can we control? We control our attitude. Yep. We control how we respond to the media and to those words. How we speak. We can control our schedule, how we participate, our mindset, our time, the actions that we take every day, how we utilize that time. What else? Our attitude. Isn't it interesting? So our words, as we start to look at that right side of that page, our gratitude, how we express that gratitude. As we start to look at that right side of the page, would you rather focus on the right side of the page or the left side of that page? So as we said, the top of the left, you put fear. At the top of the right, above what you can control, put faith. Right? The BOLD law says fear or faith you choose. And as we operate in faith, by the way, faith is not necessarily just a religious piece. This is faith in knowing that there's going to be another side to this. There's going to be another opportunity. There's going to be a greener pasture on the other end of this. By the way, my intention is to figure out what are we learning through this process and how are we getting better? Because there are incredible things we're learning as business owners, as leaders, as agents in this process today that will take us to a whole different level. Our leadership teams are pouring into us every day to bring that to us. It's empowering. It's so passionate. And here's what I want you to understand is as we look at this little piece, so we have our soul, right? Our spirit. We have that gratitude piece and digging deep. Then we go into our mindset and we focus on what we can control within that mindset. She said the last little piece is our actions. When we start to build these things out, what it starts to do is create a desire to act. And she said, if you don't have the passion yet to go act in your business, because sometimes, let's be honest, we don't necessarily wake up and say, I can't wait to call everybody in my sphere today. And yet what she did say is this. She said, serve. A simple word, go serve. And she said, I understand that doesn't mean you're going to go into your community today and serve, because we're not necessarily able to do that. However, how could you be of service in your own space? Does that mean you get up and you make breakfast and you have that breakfast with your kids before they start school? I mean, when do we get the chance to do that? Does that mean when we had 2 inches of snow, you call a snow day just for fun because you can, because you're the principal? Hey! They thought that was awesome, by the way. Does that mean that we take a moment and just serve in whatever capacity we can? She says the interesting thing is, as we walk in and we create that service and we create that attitude of service, it makes it real easy when we start to reach out to our past clients, to our database, to our sphere, to those who truly need that help, and have that opportunity to serve them, because we're leading with our heart. The conversations aren't about, let's list your house. It's not, by the way, the script is probably not appropriate that we teach you in the first step of BOLD of, hey, I'm in a contest, I need 10 referrals to win, let's go. May not work today. However, there are other scripts or other dialogues that come from care, that come from compassion, that come from a heart of service, that are appropriate. And as we work through this together, and as we guide our clients and our past clients through this together, they will feel empowered just as you do, because now they have knowledge. So write this down. Education creates power. Knowledge brings power. When you think about it, your knowledge of the market, is that empowering you to have great conversations? Your knowledge of what's happening in our world, is that empowering you to have these great conversations? Well, if our clients are not getting that same opportunity, that same information, where are they going to get that conduit from? There's so much confusion right now about, should I do a forbearance? Should I sell my house because I got a bunch of equity? Should I take advantage of the market today? Should I actually go out and pull a line of credit because I can, and prepare for whatever comes down the pipe because I want to invest in property in this next market? Who do I talk to make that happen? These are the questions that are happening in our database today. And we have the opportunity to reach out, and just by asking a simple question of, how are y'all doing? By the way, who's the best teacher, you or your husband? Just for fun, right? Have some fun. It doesn't matter. And yet enjoy this conversation with our database. It will create that database. It will create that relationship. Mo Anderson said it best. She said, look, today we're creating mind share through deepening those relationships, and tomorrow we'll create market share. So our job today is to create the mind share, to take market share tomorrow. And that, my friends, is what Bold Pivot is all about.